Hello and welcome to the second installment of the QBuild series where we're building Qwest in public. Now, if you're not familiar, Qwest is an application that's designed to take all of the friction out of the management portion of your knowledge base and allow you to just make the knowledge base that you actually want. And it's designed to help you think better and not less. And there are a few different ways that we do that. Now, if you've seen the last video, then you know that there was a bit of a problem with the layout. The layout was a little bit clunky. When you opened the sidebar, it would jolt the screen over to the side. If you opened the other one, it would push it back. It was terrible, it was jerky. And we have since decided to take some time to remedy that. So if you take a look, we now have sidebars that don't jolt the screen, and they actually look pretty nice at this point. So we've taken some time to really think about the layout, and one of the things that we did as well was make sure that Qwest actually worked on all screens. Now, it's not perfect on every screen, so there's that, but on mobile, you do see everything in a mobile specified way, and if you're on a tablet, then it's the same story, where you see everything in a tablet specific format. And of course, if you are on desktop, then everything works on desktop. So the app is responsive, and while it is still a web app, we are working towards making sure that it is installable on your device. Now, currently that isn't the case. However, soon we will have a PWA where you will be able to add the application to your home screen, and then of course in the future we'll have native applications as well. However, one of the things that we've learned here at Qwest is that iteration is key, and we have just been refining and refining as quickly as possible in the tightest feedback loop that we possibly can, and the web app is the perfect place to do that. So for now, we're going to have a web app, but once we have Qwest in a more release state and we start having paid plans and things like that, then we'll start building out something more akin to a cross-platform native application for whatever device that you're currently on. With that said, we have some particular things to talk about today. Spyglass is the latest area where we've taken some time to advance the interface and advance the system in general. Now, we have taken the time to make Spyglass a significantly more powerful piece of technology so that when you query Spyglass, you can ask your thoughts anything, and then it will give you a response strictly based on your thoughts. Now, as we have upgraded the system to have a lot more power behind it, unfortunately, that also comes with a lot more fine-tuning that has to happen. So that's been one of the things that we've learned while building out these non-deterministic systems, is that they take a lot of coercion in a certain direction. You have to give them a lot of constraint, and then you have to chip away and fine-tune the prompt for a while in order to make the experience better. With that said, I'm just going to give you a quick little demo of a query which I oftentimes ask Qwest. So what is Qwest? Now, the reason why I often end up asking this is because when I'm in a language model of some kind, say Gemini, and I just want to get a quick little blurb that specifically outlines Qwest in its current iteration as it's currently being thought of, then Spyglass is a really good way to do that because it provides an answer like this. So Qwest is a knowledge management system designed to help users think better and manage their information effectively. It aims to revolutionize knowledge interaction by acting as a personalized, active assistant that helps users improve their learning, organization, and actions. Qwest functions as a tool for self-learning and life, focusing on seamless interaction with knowledge through features like search and acting as a second brain that strengthens the user's cognitive abilities rather than causing atrophy. The system emphasizes the meaning of knowledge artifacts by semantically indexing everything, ultimately enabling users to shape their minds and orient their lives towards their goals. Now, this entire response, the most important thing is that the entire response is based in the citations and excerpts and findings from across your actual knowledge base. So for example, Qwest is a knowledge management system designed to help users think better and manage their information effectively. That comes from this particular citation here from my note on branding for Qwest. And as you can see, there is an excerpt here, as well as an actual analysis of that excerpt, which is then used, both of those in combination, to support this particular clause in this greater answer. So that allows you to get really, really fine-grained and accurate answers to all of your questions and immediately find where individual pieces of its response are coming from in your knowledge base. And this is a great way to also to recover lost treasures that you have buried somewhere in your knowledge base that you've completely forgotten about. I have plenty of those where I have simply put things into my knowledge base, and then when I go and I get them out, or I go back and I look for them, or I just forget about them entirely, they're just lost forever. They're sitting in my knowledge base in this big giant pile of wasted information that has never been properly integrated into my own mind. And so with Spyglass, what it allows you to do is ask more vague queries, ask more abstract queries, and analyze your knowledge base and pull all of the findings from your knowledge base into the context at which point it outputs a accurate response. So with that said, one of the things that we've added to Spyglass is aside from the UI itself, is the ability to ask follow-up questions. So we're going to try this. This is a little bit live fire here because this is a relatively new feature and it is currently a little unstable. When I ask a follow-up question, I should be able to say something more vague and it should understand the context of what I said before. So what are some specific key points from the branding strategy? So now what it's going to do is it's going to search my knowledge base further, following up on the previous question. Now I'm actually going to open the sidebars here because they'll give us some additional context as to what's happening in the background. As you can see, it performed 3 different searches in order to find information, and then once it found those different resources, now it's scanning over them, analyzing them, and compiling findings. At that point, as you can see, it has created a overall breakdown of my question, answering it point by point in an accurate fashion. And it does seem to understand exactly what I was asking it. So it's answering with key points from my branding strategy for Qwest. And as you can see, these are overall very, very accurate. Now, I mean, you might not have as comprehensive of an idea of what Qwest branding necessarily looks like in the background here, but this is an accurate response, at least at a glance here, and it is doing the citations. But as you can see, there are some kinks to work out. For example, getting the model to actually output the correct citation format becomes increasingly difficult as your citation format is more complex. Now, for Spyglass here, I mentioned that we're doing some fairly complex but powerful stuff in the background in order to make this work. But as you can see, we have not yet entirely refined the prompt to the point where it outputs citations in the correct format. So the parsing does work here. However, it doesn't work the way that I would hope it would work. And so this is an area where we're going to be dedicating a lot of time and effort into making sure that this is more robust, because we would like this experience to be as fluid as possible, and we want you to just be able to focus on reading and then finding the citations for the things that you just read. So with that said, that's Spyglass. It is significantly more useful at this point. And I want to talk about the next thing. Where's my video on this? See if I can find it real fast. We have made some improvements marginally to search more broadly. I think that the interface, for example, now actually will interop with Qwest. So over here in just the normal sidebar search, if I start to type something and I say like, what is Qwest? Now you have an option to open it in Spyglass. Additionally, another thing that we added is the ability to change the access and actually share the access to the view-only version of a given document with other users of the system. You just have to input their email, and then it will allow you to share it. And then that way, whenever you want to just share a note quickly, you can do so. Pretty soon, we'll also have the ability to share public notes. And these kinds of notes will be very simple in that you make a note, you make it public, and then you can just share a link to anybody. That way anybody can go and see whatever it is that you wrote, and it's as simple as that. But I also want to talk about some differences and a little bit of cleanup that we've done since the last time on the IDEA UI more broadly. For example, over here in Insights, we now have the ability to get more comprehensive insights out of the application. So now that we've gone over Spyglass, I just want to take a second to talk about the roadmap for the application. Currently, the roadmap looks like rabbit holes next, and then media support and digestion later on. Now, what does that mean? So rabbit holes are a way to constrain Qwest's feature set towards a particular subject or a particular topic or question or whatever it may be. It's a way to go down a rabbit hole using Qwest, and what that actually looks like in practice, we'll talk about in the next video because it will be done by then. However, after that, then we'll have media support and digestion. Now, the idea behind these media support and digestion features is that one of the biggest problems with current knowledge base management is that when you take information from the web or from across the internet more broadly, and then you find a YouTube video or a web page or a blog post, whatever it may be, and you'd like to digest that information and integrate that information into your own knowledge, it becomes a difficult process, not because an individual instance of that is difficult, but because knowledge base applications are primarily made to allow you to save information and then recover it later on and utilize it, and a lot of them are very good for this. However, when it comes to specifically learning, and when it comes to specifically digesting and integrating information from outside sources into your internal knowledge, that isn't necessarily as fleshed out. And it can be fleshed out if you take the time to do so, but Qwest is going to stick by its motto and help you think better, not less. And so we're not going to try to take out the learning aspect of it. We're not going to just give you some fancy AI feature that will do all the work for you, but rather we're going to provide you with a distinction between what is a source of outside knowledge and what is your internal knowledge, and then help you make the transition between the two. So media digestion will be a way to, for example, watch YouTube videos and integrate the ideas and the knowledge and the information in those YouTube videos into your broader knowledge base. So that's the roadmap for Qwest. Rabbit holes and media support will both be hopefully incredibly valuable, but for now we're going to continue chugging along. Now, if you're interested in trying Qwest for yourself, take a look at the description below where we'll have a waitlist, and if you fill that out, then we can get you into the system with early access to the application. We're looking for all the feedback that we can get. Up here in the top left, we have this little feedback button, and it's pretty much on every page. So at any point, if you encounter something that doesn't seem right, or you encounter something that feels like it could be better, or you just have an idea, feel free to add as much feedback as you want. We are going to look through it, and we are going to use it to make Qwest better. So anybody who's interested in that, take a look at that waitlist down below. If you don't feel like joining the app, but you have something to say about it anyway, go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll take a look at those as well. Now, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, or evening, or morning, and with that said, goodbye.